Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Podcast. And today we are going to talk about a land flipping strategy of doing high volume with smaller deals. So we'll get started in just 1 second.
Welcome to the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Investing Podcast with your hosts, Jack and Michelle Bosch. Together, let's uncover the secrets to building true wealth through real estate and living a purpose-driven life.
All right. So with that said, as I mentioned, I am super excited. This is your host, Jack Bosch again, and we are going to do. We are interviewing our good friend Mike Ferreira. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Jack.
Wonderful. So, Mike is a very experienced land flipper. You have been land flipping for how long? Like almost 10 years, right?
Part-time since 2014, full-time since 2015.
All right. So about good. So that's fantastic. And you have specialized in a little bit of a different, well, the same niche that our land flippers do, everyone that we teach does, but typically our land flippers are trying to get to the big deals, right? They want to get like the big deals, the big home run. You have taken a little bit of a different approach in that what you're focusing in on is volume of smaller deals. But first, before we go into that, and before we get into that, let's first ask you, just tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the land business? What's your background? Tell us your story.
Okay, Jack. Well, in the past, before I got into land, I had a business buying and selling gold and silver. One of those companies where back in the day, everyone would just pile all their gold or silver into a box. They would send it to me. I would figure out, well, I wouldn't, but someone would figure out what it's worth and then send them a check, the cash for gold type thing. And that had a period of time where that was an incredible business with a high volume. But then some things changed, lots of regulations came up out of the blue and the market changed. So there was a time where that really wasn't ideal for me anymore. So I decided I wanted to get into something else.
Right.
Like a lot of people, my first thought went to house flipping. And fortunately for me, before I went too deep into that rabbit hole, decided to completely gut and renovate my own house. When I went through that experience, I realized that I wanted nothing to do with that whatsoever. I was done. So went down some rabbit holes. Yeah.
I don't blame you. We have the painters in the house right now, and I it's like herding cats. And we have a general contractor who actually oversees everything, but still is like telling you they're there one day and they're not there, and it's just no, I don't want to deal with that either.
Yeah. And then at one point, I discovered this program that actually was a DVD set right there. It wasn't online at that time, and it had this guy standing next to a tree telling you all about how to buy and sell land. And I was very excited. I bought it, and within a few weeks, I stuck it up on my shelf because I kept having conflicted feelings about my previous business. Well, maybe I should just stick with that and make it work. One thing led to another. After another year or two of some intense pain of not having a type of business I wanted, I picked those DVDs back up and learned the process and went from there. And it has been a great ride ever since.
Wonderful. So how many deals a year do you currently do?
Let's see. I average, I'd say about 20 a month. So that's a couple hundred, 240, 250 a year,
Wow.
Something like that.
20
comes
a month.
Out to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Some
now,
are more, some are less.
If if a house flipper tells you that they do 20 per month, they have a team of like 15 people in order to do that.
Yeah.
Well, how big is your team?
Well, it's me. My wife, I'm very lucky, is a CPA. So she handles all the terms, customers, and she does that all. I don't have anything to do with that part of it. She also helps me out with documents.
Mhm.
And on a rare occasion, I'll use a VA for a particular task or something. But other than that, for my personal business, I have focused more on systems and automation than having a large team to do it.
So, in other words, it is you and your wife.
Pretty much, yes.
I knew that already. Obviously, you're one of our coaches, actually, in our Land Profit coaching program. But I wanted the audience to hear that from you, not me telling them about you. So literally, 20 deals a month with basically as a you and your wife, you said helps more with the seller financing. So tell us your strategy. So 20 deals a month. How does your typical deal look like? What you're buying for, what you're selling for, how you structure it? Because you're doing a little bit of a different strategy, different focus. Same strategy, but focus, a little bit different focus than many of our students.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have different areas and a few different product types that I specialize in, I guess you would say.
Sure.
I have some which are the ultra low buy prices, maybe $300 for acre and a half, 2.5 acres of land. And I would take that and turn around and sell it from anywhere from $3,500 to $49.99 with owner financing. Low down payment, low monthly payments, high interest, 16%.
Wow.
That's one product
How
type.
long is the terms usually? 3-5 years?
Yeah, somewhere between 3 and 5 years for the most part. It kind of depends, and it part of it depends on actually how low the taxes are. If it's something that it's only $3-4 a year taxes, which I have some of those. I actually have some that the taxes are so low that the county doesn't even bother sending a tax bill. They just say, hey, you're good, don't worry about it, and there's no property taxes on it.
Okay,
so I love those.
Better.
Yeah.
And now what's the monthly payment typically, with the range of the monthly payment?
Well,
on those.
Yeah, on those, it's usually just under $100 a month. I do like $99 down, $199 document fee, then maybe somewhere around $99 a month.
So okay, so that's basically $100 down, $200 document fee. That's $300, and you bought them for $300. Now, how do you deal with closing costs? And then $100 a month. So that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but if you do 20 of them a month, I mean, that's $2,000 a month that you generate extra every month, and that goes up very quick. So if you do 20 of those a month, that's $2,000. That's $24,000. Not all of them are going to be seller financing deals, but there would be $24,000 a month that you create in cash flow over the course of 1 year if you would do 100% of them like that, right?
Correct.
So, and then obviously the cash flow lasts for about 3 years, but if you do that year after year after year, you're soon in the $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a month in cash flow. And obviously some get paid off quicker and so on. So it's probably not that high, but this is fantastic, right? I mean, I'm stressing that because people think $100 a month, that's not that much. But in volume, you can make multiple six figures here per year just having these little deals come in and having them pay you. So love that. So, okay, so now how do we deal with anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I guess some of the reasons that I do that and that type of product type is, number one, it turns from being a major investment decision to an impulse purchase. Mm-hmm. So that means a large percentage, the majority of my customers will check out on my website for the down payment and doc fee in the middle of the night. I wake up and I find that there have been purchases made. I've never spoken to them. I've never emailed them. I've never gotten a million Facebook messages from them. And that's obviously, I like that. Other thing.
When I go at night sometimes and I end up looking around and I find a nice, good offer on on the wine that I like, and I end up buying a case of wine.
Exactly.
To that
exactly.
The house all the time. Yeah. Right? So she's listening in here. So it's an impulse decision. Yes. It's like, man, my piece of land. It's like it's $5,000, but it's really only $100 down, $200 dock fee. It's $300. I have $300. I can put it on my credit card. right? So you allow them to put them on their credit card, right?
Absolutely. And the thing, my philosophy in a broader picture is I am placing many bets all across the table instead of a few bets on larger properties, so that if I had larger properties and I have a few people default, suddenly I have a large drop in my income. The way I have it now, I can have dozens of people default, and it's not noticeable for me.
Right. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so now let's talk about closing costs. Now, the first thing that comes to mind when you say, like, well, you're buying these properties for $300, and then you're getting basically a $300 down payment. Yes, that's equal, but how do closing costs play into this? Aren't those destroying the deal in such case?
No.
And I know the answer, but
not at all. I self-close everything. My process is, when I have an accepted offer, then we prepare a deed. 99% of the time, I email the deed to the seller with instructions to print it out, take it to their bank or to their local UPS store, get it notarized and witnessed in places that it needs to be witnessed. Some do, some don't. And then mail it to me. And when I get it, I take it, I scan it, send it up to Simplifile, record it with the county. Maybe that'll cost me $15. Then take a regular old business check, send them a business check for the $300 or the $2,000 or whatever it happens to be, if it's another type of property. And I usually send that priority mail, so there's tracking, because they can get a little nervous at times. And that's it. That's my closing process for the buy side.
Right, I love it. So you're doing self closes. Now, obviously, we teach self closes as part of our program, and in order to do a self close, you got to do some kind of a title search. So you probably do this yourself, or you use an abstractor service for that.
I do. For me, I do it myself. I've done it so many times that it doesn't take me long at all. I jump in, and by the time I could order the service, I probably have it done.
Right. I agree. And it's not hard to do a self-close. It's not hard to do a title search. You just got to know what you're doing about it. So how do you do that? So I'm actually going to make a note to myself that I'm going to actually do a podcast episode about how to do a title search. Let me just make a note here. So, okay. So that is so that we won't jump into that too much here, but in the next few weeks there's going to be a podcast coming out with talking about how to do a title search. It's really the key to it, is in just a few words, is that you basically start searching the county recorders for that person and the combination of that person with that property to see if anything has been recorded against that property. Exactly. Usually at these $3,000 properties, when whoever the seller is, they didn't take a mortgage on for a $3,000 property or a $5,000 property. They just paid them. They just bought them 20, 30 years ago, and they've been sitting on them, not using them. So usually the property ownership situation is very simple on those, right?
Right.
You agree?
Absolutely.
Great. So now you said there's a couple of other kind of properties that you go after.
Yeah, I can do some that are more like rural, mobile home friendly lots. Those are always in demand. People love to have a place to put their mobile home, get out of the trailer park type of situation. So those, sometimes I need to pay a little bit more and charge a little bit more. And it's, the margins just depend a little bit upon the area, but those are always easy deals to do because the demand is so high.
And those, do you sell those also with seller financing, or you sell those with you actually rent the land so they put the mobile home on a land and pay you a land lease basically?
No, I like to keep my life as simple as possible. And in my paperwork, they cannot do anything to the land except walk on it, or maybe pitch a tent and camp on it on a weekend, or ride their dirt bike on it or something like that. They can't do anything to the land until it's paid off. Okay. And that's just for my clientele, that seems to be best for everybody.
All right. So very good. So now comes the question of what kind of automation systems do you use in order to make sure that you can do 20 deals? And as I know, you got a boat, you go hang out with a family out there. You don't strike me as a guy that is super stressed out and just constantly running and doing in order to do 20 deals. It seems like life is good. You got very nice cash flow coming in, because think about it. For the last several years, you've been doing 20 deals a month. And what percentage of your deals are seller financing deals?
It varies. I'd say at least 80 to 90% of them are.
Right.
Now, a lot of them do get paid off quickly, so
Right.
they're almost cash deals.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, but still, like if you just for the audience to think through it, like if somebody has this as a goal, there's like 20 deals a month. Even if 10 of them end up being seller financing deals, you're building up $1,000 a month in cash flow. After 1 year, that's $10,000 or more, even 12,000. But let's round it down to 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Over the years, you're building up a very nice ongoing that you have to rebuild every few years, obviously, because they're getting paid off. But it still is a very nice cash flow. But getting the deals done still requires a little bit of work, right?
Yeah.
So how do you make your life easier on those things? Well, can you share with us just some basic principles of the automation and an organization that you put into your life in order to be able to do that kind of volume and still be as easygoing and relaxed as I know you to be?
Well, a big thing that it took it to the next level for me more recently in my business life was Investment Dominator. That's been a great help. Eliminated deals potentially slipping through the cracks.
That accompanies our course. Usually they go hand in hand together. The best way to implement this is with the software. So yes, okay, just for everyone.
And as far as dealing with the terms customers, it's my wife has her own setup, but a part of it is QuickBooks Online and Intuit Payments, taking the automated debits coming out every month. So there's not a whole lot of labor involved in keeping up with the payments.
In terms of marketing, for example, what do you put them up yourself all over the place? What kind of platforms do you like for marketing?
Yeah, I have been very spoiled lately, I'll tell you, because sales have been so hot that I have been actually, I'll say, unfortunately, I've been a little lazy and not making the absolute best ad quality that I can. I throw the listing up on my website, but I work over the years. I've worked many of the same areas over and over and over, mailing to the same areas about every 6 months, over and over and over.
Yeah.
So if I get some new property, well, it's almost exactly the same as something I've sold in the past. So I just clone my listing from before, make a few little tweaks in it, change some pictures around, and it's done. It doesn't take long at all.
By the way, there's a message in this, and this is a message that I always tell our students: is that don't keep going. If you can, don't jump from county to county to county to county to county to county. Identify those gold mines that you have, and then go back again and again and again, because property A, just like you said, property A, once you flip it, and property B, C, D, and E in the same area are going to look almost exactly the same. You can use 80% of the same pictures. You can use 80% of the same text. You can use the same structure. You just do copy paste and you adjust a few things, and boom, and your listing is your effort of research is minimal. Your effort of making an offer is minimal. Your effort of listing the property is minimal, and you really can multiply your business without multiplying your time investments.
Yes. And there's two other benefits to that as well. One is I build credibility with sellers, because I have gotten comment after comment from sellers that say, I get these letters every once in a while from all different people, but I've been getting letters from you for years. So I know you're not going anywhere. You've been here. You're still here year after year. There's another letter from Mike wanting to buy my land. So they trust me because they know I'm not fly by night.
But,
The other side of it, on the sell
and
side,
times and circumstances always change, right?
yes,
So
yes,
just because we've had that so many times that somebody, I remember one time a lady had 3 properties, and in year 1 she sold us 1 property. Well, then we got back 6 to 12 months later, and she's like, "I'm ready to sell the second property now." And then 6 to 12 months later, "I'm ready to sell the third property now."
yeah.
All of them at 90% discounts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but for some reason, she wasn't ready to let go of the other 2 properties in year 1. Time and circumstances change. And
Yes.
at some point, they're like, "You know what? I've been getting a letter for so many years. I'm finally ready to let go of this piece. And I choose you because of the consistency." Love it. Yes.
Yeah.
Can only confirm that.
Yeah. And then it's a similar thing on the sell side. It's gotten to the point, a lot of the areas I work, besides people signing up for my buyer's list, and maybe they were interested in the property and it's sold and they're like, "Darn, I just missed it." Well, then they know eventually there's going to be more properties in that area coming from me. And I've get a lot of repeat business because they buy one, then someone wants another and another, and their friend wants another, and they know I am the guy to see for this area or that area, this subdivision, that subdivision, because I just do everything I can to dominate those areas. And those are my areas. So,
very beautiful, very beautiful. And that's a key lesson. That's a business lesson, right? It's a business lesson of knowing your market, going deep in your market, and building, not just building that credibility in both sides, but really what you just explained means is another word for you have built a buyer's list in that market that knows, likes, and trusts you, and that's just waiting for additional deals. You have built referral business. It's all the classic pieces of a business, right? Like if you do that in a business, and I keep telling during this Corona times right now that a good friend of us who owns 3 restaurants in town, he just shut down his dining room again, and yet he's not necessarily suffering from it because delivery and things, because over the years, his restaurant has existed for 30 years. Over the years, he has built so much goodwill in the community and so many customers that have gone there and eaten there and have good memories, that they're all like rushing to support him and support them during these times, or they're thinking, "Where do I order out from? Oh, let me go there. Let me go order out from there." So his business is actually very stable even through times like that, because he's built his business the proper way to repeat business, to actually do building a buyer's list, which in this case is a consumer list, like a guest list that go eat there. And it's the same exact thing, only that probably people don't need to buy a new piece of land every week or so, or every day, but they still come back for more if they need one for their brother, or for their sister, or for their parents, or for their kids. And because now, do you know what the people do on these pieces of land?
well, that kind of varies to land. Some of the land I sell are popular with people who like to go hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are just buying for speculative purposes. It might be just right off an interstate, but it's undeveloped and not buildable at this time for some reason. But they want to buy it because it's cheap, and they want to wait and see what happens. Maybe Walmart will put a distribution center there. So there's that. The abandoned subdivisions. Now, this can't happen in all of them, but there are some abandoned subdivisions that have become very popular who like to go camping and four-wheeling. And the authorities will have a problem with them going four-wheeling out there on public property and such. However, in many cases, if they happen to be a landowner out in this abandoned subdivision, they're given a pass, and it's okay. So for less than $100 a month, now they have a huge recreational area that they can enjoy. So
Absolutely.
It's well beyond just owning that piece of land.
Wonderful. Great. I mean, that is fantastic. I love this. I love how strategic you go about that, how you picked your niche, and how you just sticking to this route, and that and dominating certain markets, and applying real good, sound business principles to your strategy there. So fantastic. So now let me ask you, if somebody, now you also coach with our organization right now. So
Yes.
How has that been for you?
I am loving it. See, with my business, I do derive satisfaction from my business because I do have an ability to help people on both sides. I can solve people's financial difficulties by buying their land, and that is satisfying. I can also fulfill a dream for somebody who's always wanted to own land, but under normal circumstances, they cannot. Whereas almost anybody eventually can scrape up a few $100s. So those people are so happy. They feel so blessed that they finally get to make this dream come true. So I have that satisfaction, but neither of those situations give me the opportunity to help somebody really build wealth and really transform their lives. A few $100s or a couple $1,000s helps someone temporarily, but does not transform their lives. Vacant land doesn't necessarily transform someone's life when they buy it. But teaching someone a business like this that has just bestowed so many blessings on me and my family it's just very, very fulfilling to be able to do this. Awesome. Personally. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that. Great. So with that said, I do want to just jump into one extra area, and that I forgot I wanted to talk about that. So, and I appreciate you having those. That's why we reached out to you as when we were looking to add a coach, because we knew you're that kind of a giving person, and that's who we want to surround ourselves in our own team with. That's what I want our team members to be like that. So thank you. One question I have is so you're obviously focusing on these lower priced properties more or less, and you're selling them with low monthly payment. How about the default rate? You experience a high default rate? And if yes, what do you do to actually foreclose on these things? Doesn't that destroy a lot of the profit? And I know the answer. The answer is no, but I know. But I wanted to kind of see what I want the audience kind of to see what process you have for that, or what your solution is for that.
During normal times, I would have an average of 4 to 5 defaults per month. It goes up and down, but that's kind of like how it seems to run. Strangely enough, since the Corona thing has come up, my defaults have gone way down. People are paying better, less late payments, people paying their land off early. I don't understand it, but it's just what's happening.
I'm actually seeing the same thing in our apartment complexes. While we have some people that are not paying rent and are using and playing the system and not paying the rent and waiting for us to be able to evict them whenever that is allowed again, and then either then they pay or then they just get evicted and they had 3 months worth of free rent, living for free. The rest of them is actually paying almost impeccable, and our overall collections are on par or even higher than they were before, even though we have like a good 10% of people who are just not paying. So it's very interesting. Usually we have like a few that not paying and a bunch struggling in some of these Class C kind of properties. But right now everyone is paying, or they're just playing the system and playing the game and not paying at all. So it seems like it's with all the extra money that the Fed's pumped into the kind of thing, that people have a little bit extra money to make those payments. So that's good news, and they're paying them off. But you go ahead.
Yeah, in a situation where there is a default, we have a process. Obviously, when they get late to a certain point, they get a letter that's a 10-day demand letter, for lack of a better term, where they need to pay this certain amount in 10 days, or else they're going to lose the property. If they don't contact us and don't pay, then the next step after that is expired, they get a letter that they have forfeited the property, basically. And I put a little something in there. I try to be nice so we end up on good terms. I say, we're not going to put any bad information on your credit report at this time. Not that I would anyway. And in the future, if your situation turns around, we'd be happy to discuss financing another property with you. I try to make it so it's kind of a not an adverse ending, kind of a nice ending with a little hope there at the end.
At the same time, so your documents, you must not use a deed of trust and note then, or you're probably using not even a land contract. You're probably using a lease purchase agreement, I would assume, right?
Well, I have been using a land contract that I've adapted over time that covers a lot of things, including not allowing it to be recorded. There's different things. In hindsight, I do wish I had gone with a lease purchase, and I may change my system at some time to do the lease purchase because it's just cleaner and it eliminates that potential for a problem. However, in my experience, and I've had, I don't know, I'm sure well over 100 defaults, there's only one of two things that happens. Either they contact me and they apologize profusely. They're so sorry, their truck broke down or whatever happened. You know, Uncle Willie has to be bailed out of jail. And they're very, very sorry, but they have to let go of the property. And, you know, please, and like they're worried I'm going to sue them or something. I say, no, I'm sorry for your troubles, but, you know, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Then I'll have them sign a little something. Or they just disappear. Don't respond to anything. They're gone forever. And so it's just the idea of someone who can't afford to pay their $99 payment suddenly hiring a high-powered attorney to try to force it to go through foreclosure. In my experience, that doesn't happen. So.
Okay. And I agree with you. I 100% agree with you that this doesn't happen. Either they come forward or they just disappear from the face of the earth and never be heard again. So it makes sense that you send them those letters and that you do the proper process and so on. And again, if you use, for those who want to use lease purchase agreement, again, even our investment dominator, our software has those documents and has that process in there that you can basically lease them to them with a rent credit. And then if you don't pay, you basically have to evict them from a piece of land, which is really just sending them a notice of abandonment, which is basically what you're doing. And so it all makes sense. Wonderful, Mike. So thank you very much for being on the show with us. So if you have like perhaps you have like some last words that you would recommend that we would want to tell somebody who is in the, let's say, in the middle of, who's deciding on whether this land thing is something they want to look into. What would you tell somebody like that?
I would say, number one, do not hesitate. It works. The sooner you get going and the sooner you take action, the sooner you're going to get to the place that you see other people have gotten to. So do not delay. Don't wait. Just get that out of your head. And just the other thing that I am just so sick of hearing over and over and over from people as an excuse is they say, oh God, all these people are getting into the land business, all these courses, everything's going on. There's going to be too much competition. And that is absolutely false. There are other people. They actually are a benefit to my business, not a detriment. So forget about the idea that there's competition. It's not an issue whatsoever.
Right. Our competition would have to go up 100-fold before it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. It's like there's people in the house flipping world where the competition is 1,000-fold of what it is in land, and they're still doing 200 deals a year, right? There's Absolutely. People in multifamily where the competition is like 1 million what it is right now with institutional guys, and they're still buying 1,000 units, 1,000 apartment units a year. Mm-hmm. Like our competition is not an issue, particularly if it's not there, like if it's very minimal in the world we live in. So with that said, thank you very much, Mike. I loved it. Thanks so much for being on the show. And enjoy your summer, enjoy your boat. We were so glad and so excited and so happy to have you also as one of our team members, as one of our coaches. So with that said, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Jack. It was a pleasure.
Wow, wonderful. And with that, everyone, this concludes another episode of the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Podcast. As always, give us a thumbs up if you're watching this on YouTube. Give us a 5-star review if you're watching this on iTunes. Literally, just don't just say 5 stars, but actually comment on it. Give us a 5-star review. They'll love it. It helps us to spread the word about this amazing land flipping method. All right. With that, bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.
Welcome to the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Investing Podcast with your hosts, Jack and Michelle Bosch. Together, let's uncover the secrets to building true wealth through real estate and living a purpose-driven life.